Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this exclusive BigMint interview. Today, we are heartily pleased to welcome Mr. Rajesh Gupta, Managing Director of Lloyds Metals Energy, and Mr. B. Prabhakaran, sir, MD of the company, from whom we will try to understand a lot many things about the domestic steel industry and the iron ore industry. But first of all, our focus will be on the phenomenal achievement of Lloyd in fundraising, which is of course in the news. And this fundraising is one of the biggest funds which have been raised in the industry history. One is the QP, which is around 1,200 crore, and the 3,000 crore through preferential capital. Out of the preferential capital, also 1,000 crore is being contributed to the promoters of the company, which basically shows the kind of the faith the company that people have on this company, and the going has been particularly very strong on the bosses, and also the future looks very bright. So my first question to Mr. Gupta, sir, is of course congratulations on this phenomenal fundraising, and with the capital, what are your expansion plans, sir?
Good evening, Nirmalaji. The expansion plans are on. We are right now in a 10 million ton phase of steel of iron ore making. We are now expanding into the steel making side. Over a period, we'll be having a 1.2 million ton steel plant in Chandrapur and a 8 million ton plant in of pelletization in our other location in Konsari. And with both of these together, we will become a relatively more forward integrated in the steel cycle. And the fundraising is for various projects of these expansion projects that I just described.
Yes, sir. So if you could also enlighten us, sir, about the plans that the company has on, in the realm of expansion of DRI capacity, as well as steel making capacity.
So DRI, we are doubling our capacity, which is right now 350,000 tons. We are going to around 700,000 tons, 650,000 tons, by addition of 2 kilns in our Chandrapur location. And post that, this plant will have a 1.2 million ton steel plant with this DRI, plus blast furnace, a coke oven, 2 arc furnaces, and 2 wire rod mills. This wire rod mills will be the first in the state of Maharashtra. So we hope to be able to feed the Maharashtrian market, which is the Western market, which is a very vibrant market in the steel side in this sector, which is still virgin as far as Maharashtra is concerned.
Yes, sir. And sir, of course, now the mainstay of the business, we are coming to iron ore. So we know that Lloyds has the plan to go to ultimately 25 million ton from currently the 10 million tons of production. So what is the timeline for that, sir? And how much of production is going to come incrementally over the years?
I will request Mr. Prabhakaran, who's the MD also of the company, and he will expand more on this answer.
Hello, Mr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Basically, the mine, we have completely explored the mine. The reserves have been certified as per the JOG standard, and the mining plan has been approved by IBM. So we have got the approval for this 25 million coming up. We also have a slurry pipeline which is being constructed. Ultimately, a 10 million ton slurry pipeline will go dedicatedly to our Konsari works. So with the increase in production, we'll be able to have a lot of carbon footprint saving by slurry transportation. And also the mining, we are happy to announce we are building it to be a green mine by using completely electrical and battery operated equipments. As we are speaking, the mine is getting prepared. In next 2 to 3 months, the mine will be slowly going into complete more of electricity and the battery operated equipments. This will also reduce the carbon footprint. And when we do 25 million ton, it's also going to have a state-of-art beneficiation plant, which will be able to bring in the low grade, process it into a very good grade of iron ore with less alumina and also less silica, which will also be one of the key inputs for steel making on the less carbon footprint and less energy requirement.
Yes, sir. So very interesting point, of course, on carbon footprint in mining and what Lloyds is doing to reduce it. We'll come to that a little later, of course, but very interested to speak about it. But about the mining aspects, sir, and the capacity going up to 25 million tons. So, of course, could you give us some idea about the, the in situ kind of grades that are available and what kind of a final product will go to the market? So some kind
So
of an
we,
idea on that. Yes.
yeah, basically we'll have 63 plus as our product. We'll have a cutoff of 63 grind of material. And we will also have better grade more than 63 also after the beneficiation is done. So basically, right now, very confident all the product which will be leaving out will be plus 63% of Fe. And it will also have, after beneficiation, much higher, more than 65% of Fe should be on the beneficiated iron ore.
I see. So, so the beneficiated ore actually. So, are we talking about the new volumes that are going to come, or
No,
the?
consolidatedly, the mine will have hematite and also the beneficiated ore. The staggering of the beneficiation come in a staggered manner, but the consistent output will remain as 25 million for the life of the mine.
I see. So, coming to beneficiation now, of course. So, what is the volume for, of course, in a staggered manner, as you explained, but
Yes.
what is the volume that is going to, eventually come for
Between
beneficiation?
10 to 15 million tons will be through beneficiation process.
To be through
Yeah.
beneficiation process. And will that be, entirely banded hematite quartzite, or will it be,
No, there
some
will be
kind of?
also some low-grade material will also get beneficiated because we have some kind of low-grade hematite also that will also go through the beneficiation process. So it will be not only BHQ but also some kind of low-grade iron ore where we can bring down the alumina and silica and enrich the iron ore. Is also a process which most of the companies are doing it time immemorial. We'll also do the same.
I see. So, sir, will it be correct to say that maybe, the beneficiated ore that you're saying, so maybe the grades could be, below 35, which could be beneficiated to above 60? Kind of, if you could give us an idea, that what
So
will be the value
basically
of the?
today
Yes.
IBM looks at 45% as a cutoff on grade of iron ore, but we are looking at below 35, 33 also. But the huge capex is required for this kind of investments. We are looking at because the capex to beneficiating from 33, 34, we need to see that there should be some support from the government also to get it on the capital. So basically, yes, 44, 45 is definitely getting upgraded. But if there is good support from the government, we'll be able to do plus 35, 33 also we'll be able to do it because it doesn't really commensurate with the capital what we deployed when you go for too low grade to do it.
I see. So, sir, just on that point of government support, which is very essential, as you said, and also the policy framework that is developing for beneficiation as a whole in India, as we have seen that the government is making it mandatory. It has already put its opinions on this matter for stakeholder feedback, and of course, the law is going to come into place sooner rather than later. So, of course, the beneficiation part is there. Uh, if you could give us an idea that of the costs involved, of the ore that is there in the market, and the additional cost that beneficiation will involve. If you could give us some idea on that.
This is one of the first pilot
Sure.
plants of this in India for a beneficiation ore from 35% onwards. And the technology is getting, it's a very common technology in China, like you might be knowing, or in Brazil. In India, it's not so common. And the huge overburdens, which were only called overburdens, many of that could have been beneficial. We hope uh, with this technology, as well as what the government is now insisting for beneficiation to happen, the ore output of the country would go up in a very substantial way.
Sure, sir. Sure. Sir, I have two actually complementary questions on beneficiation. So, to stay on the point of cost. Because what I have been, because with my discussions in the industry, I have seen that many people are saying that after the MMDR amendments and after this auctions of mineral reserves in the country, costs have gone up very, very astonishingly highly. and of course for merchant miners also. So, I mean, from an all India perspective, from a pan India perspective, uh, how do you see the scope for beneficiation at a time when costs have gone up so rapidly? And will standalone miners be able to bear the cost?
So basically, if you look at it, it's not, there are a lot of mines where the state PSUs and central PSUs are having. So there has been a lot of reserves which has been mined. And also the central steel companies, government companies are also have huge reserves. So definitely, I don't feel that this is going to be any kind of bottleneck in the production to come up, because this technology, once it's adopted by the mines, which is owned by the state, central government, and also government steel makers, there is going to be there is not going to be any incremental cost addition because of the auction policy which you're talking about. Otherwise, also for the auction, also I think government is considering to see that the royalty less than 45. Today, we don't have a slab for royalty below 45. I think government will actively consider not only incentivize, but at least collect royalty for the grade of ore what we are trying to beneficiate. So if those kind of proactive measures comes from the government, automatically the royalty or the premium what we pay, even if it's an auction mine, today it starts from 45 when we are trying to put in grader much below. I think there will be a huge reduction in the cost of royalty and the cost of premium, which will become more affordable for standalone miner. And for government mine or the state PSUs, there is going to be no effect because of it, because already the mining cost would have been incurred and it would have been a waste dump which is there. So definitely, I think this is not going to be any kind of threshold limit in which the production will be curtailed. And with the energy cost being more affordable and green power being available, I think there is it's going to be more and more beneficiated ore coming up, which will also reduce the fuel requirement or the energy requirement in steel making.
To also
Sure,
remind,
sure. Yes, please.
first, our mine is on the allocated route. There's no auction premium. And that is a good starting base for us to make sure that the product is going to be very, very economical to the consumer, as well as to our steel plants when we go forward in the steel making cycle. So that that allocation route versus auction, most of the auctions have been in the range of 100% plus in the iron ore range, and with premium. And here there will be no premium, so that's a big advantage to the end consumer that that is beneficial.
Yeah, sure, sure, of course. My question is from pan India perspective. Of course, Lloyd's mines are not auction mines. Sir, actually, the one very interesting point that you made about the energy requirement and how it is changing, and green energy, which will be increasingly available going forward, and which will reduce costs. Uh, Sir, what about the technology that is being adopted by Lloyd's as far as beneficiation is concerned? And what are the steps that have been planned for tailings disposal? If you could give us some idea on that.
Yes, basically on the green, which you talked about it, the first is the carbon fossil fuel, what we use inside the mine is going to be substantially lower, because it's going to be electric hydraulic excavators rather diesel driven. The trucks, because of our downhill, it's going to be 100% electric EV trucks of 70 ton to 80 ton capacity. The drills are electrical. The front end payloaders are electrical. Our vehicles, these are the things where the total energy efficiency comes up proportionally, because the efficiency of the electrical equipments are much higher than the combustion engines. So that reduces. Next thing is we move through the slurry pipeline, which is more effective. On the beneficiation, if it is considered, yes, there is a lot of energy which is required. We are already in the process of tying up with the renewable power. So maximum power is going to be from the renewable sources. With renewable sources being powered used, I think there's going to be a lot of energy saving, and also non-conventional energy system requirement changes largely. With respect to the tailing, because we also have a filter press, all the material which is coming up, it's not into the old form of huge slurry dam which we are constructing it. So we are very conscious about the environment, and also to mitigation measure is to prevent it from happening. So it's going to be going through the filter press, and the dry disposal system is being envisaged by our team when we designed the tailing dam. And the tailing is here, it doesn't have alumina or silica, it is more of, it's only the silica which is there, which will also find its, because we are taking out into various granular sizes. Some of this tailing can go for construction, for the sand requirement for construction, for plastering and the concrete mixing. Rest, there has been various study. We are studying with IBM for various tile manufacturing, other manufacturing. So basically, this disposal is again reinforced to be in a dry state with after the filter press, so that the flowability is not there in any disaster. And alternative uses for construction and other purpose. And we are also using it for our own construction. So there's going to be a lot of usage of all the material what we mined out.
And to add further,
yes, sir, please.
Saying, once this higher grade, low alumina, low silica iron ore is made and is used in blast furnaces or in any other furnaces through the pellet route or directly, because of the high grade as well as low alumina, low silica, the carbon requirement, carbon footprint in the steel making cycle is around 20% lesser, because of the fact that there's lesser slag generation. And that is as big a saving in the carbon footprint in the overall environment for the iron ore that we'll be producing ultimately, for the concentrate that we'll be producing ultimately. So overall, the iron ore mining plus beneficiation plus the iron ore plus the steel making would involve a carbon footprint of at least 25 to 30% saving in the carbon footprint from a normal iron ore that is being used in India of 61%. So we see huge carbon footprint.
Yeah, of course. So that's a fantastic aspect, of course. That's a very, very important aspect. So because a 1% decrease in alumina, of course, will bring down the coke rate and the slag rate and so many other things. Of course, that's and good, of course, footprint. In terms of the quality, sir, both to Mr. Gupta and Mr. Prabhakaran, in terms of the quality that we're seeing in a kind of differential when we come to the market, the kind of differential that iron ore enjoys, for example, less silica and alumina, there is a differential, less phosphorus, there is a differential. What is the maturity of the Indian market in terms of accepting quality grade quality raw material feed for the industry? I mean, is there a scenario? Does a scenario exist that there are many buyers for high grade iron ore? There are buyers who will pay premium for low silica, low alumina.
Of course, yes. I think the steel industry is very, very mature, and they understand the advantages of lower silica, lower alumina, as well as higher Fe in the steel making cycle. And the premiums would be definitely viable for any steel making process that we can talk of. Right now, some of our iron ore is being used to make pellets, which we are exporting to the Middle East as well as Far East for the BF or the DRI grade process. Fetching premiums, the ultimate pellet manufacturers getting premium. We have done some export myself of around $30 premium to the normal pellet premium. So that's in the international market, and similarly, those premiums are available in the Indian market as well. So the Indian industry is very, very mature to understand the benefits of this ore.
Okay. So of course we'll come. We are coming to pellet and the export part, and of course the acceptance of prices, because we actually are, we have been told that Indian buyers are very cost sensitive. So just trying to understand from you that what is the acceptance, of course, for reduction of carbon footprint. That's the biggest obstacle for the steel industry today. So of course there should be acceptance of premiums.
But reduction of carbon footprint happens by reduction of carbon, which is a huge cost. So any cost-conscious manufacturer looks at cost of iron ore plus cost of carbon, and you yourself said that the reduction is there. So the market is very, very mature.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sir, coming to pellets, of course, now that you just rightly pointed about pellets and your exports and everything. So, the standard blast furnace grade pellet that we have, say, 63%, 64% pellet, and India is also exporting a lot of pellets, because if I remember correctly, the last fiscal we exported around 11 to 12 million tons of pellets, and also a lot of low-grade iron ore. The pellets so that we're talking about, we understand that it is one of the key enablers for the domestic steel mills to decarbonize. If you could just sir, tell us a little more about the role of pellets in decarbonization, both for integrated steel producers as well as the so-called secondary steel sector. If you could enlighten us on that aspect a little bit.
So let me start with the secondary steel makers, or so-called, like you said, they are DRI. It's the fastest growing sector in the Indian steel industry, in the coal-based DRI, and higher grade iron ore lump is becoming a scarce commodity. Pellets mitigates that problem by giving metallic of a higher strength, as well as a decent 6364 Fe. So it becomes a very important step in the production of DRI, and therefore in the secondary market of induction furnace as well. That's one. The carbon footprint there, again, if it is 66%, the carbon requirement in the induction, the power requirement in the induction furnace or in the DRI manufacturing comes down substantially. In the primary sector, traditionally pellets were not there, but over the years we have seen at least 30-35% of many blast furnaces using pellets. Internationally, up to 60-65% of pellets is being used from various angles, whether from the burden design angle or from the chemistry angle. And if the pellets are available, it's a very, very good input, both from carbon footprint, from productivity, both for the iron making through blast furnace route or through the DRI route. I have left out gas-based DRI because there's not enough gas available in the country. But that is the only way to make gas-based DRI is through high-grade pellets. So from all the three iron-making angles, high-grade pellets or even normal-grade pellets is a very, very important input now.
Absolutely, and which explains the kind of phenomenal capacity addition that has happened in pellet making in India, and of course the capacity addition that we are seeing also right now. So a lot of it is some of it, if not a lot of it, some of it is going for exports as well. Of course, there are traditional markets like China and others who are exporting a lot of pellets. But if we are talking about Lloyds now, so if Lloyd is targeting a product of say Fe 65-66%, then and with very low silica and alumina, then what are the markets that your company is looking at? What are the new emerging geographies that you're looking at for exports?
So we are already selling our iron ore all over the country. Very little of it is exported. We are we're selling as north as Gorakhpur, as south as Salem, as east as Barbil, and as west as Kandla. So our material is going through all the four corners of the country. Because of the location, we are equally efficient or inefficient, however you might term it. Number one. Number two, because of the little better silica and better alumina in the product. So because of these two factors, we are able to sell our products all over the country. With our new pellet capacity coming up, which will happen over years, and simultaneous steel making capacity is also adding. So we feel that the pellet that we produce can be easily absorbed well into the country, and steel making is growing at a faster pace than iron ore making. That's why iron ore pellets sales is actually coming down. Export is coming down because of this reason. That is a bigger demand in India, and definitely we feel that the market is will very well absorb additional quantities of pellets as the future goes.
So yes, so as you were saying that the going forward, we may see that the volume of pellet exports will fall, Mr. Gupta.
Yeah, basically what is happening, we have our own production of requirement. Gugus also is coming up with 1 million ton, about close to 2 million ton. We have our own requirements. Konseri Steelwork also is getting prepared. So basically, there is going to be a considerable consumption within us. It's not completely a merchant mine or a merchant thing. And also the mining material which is coming from the eastern part of India to the western part, we believe that logistically we have a better advantage of consuming because of the logistic advantage and also availability of rakes. If you look at it, there is the availability is a very serious concern of moving the finished iron ore or the pellet. With the lot of power plants like Chandrapur having plants, a lot of empties which gets generated. So I'm very sure that this will also have easy accessibility of rakes, availability of rakes, and also better logistic cost to the customers on the western coast. So we believe in-house and also western, there's going to be slightly shift on the logistic cost, which all the way come from the east to west. Maybe to this center part, to the western India, we will have better reach and better cost to the client with a reduced logistic cost.
So coming to, of course, the quality of iron ore that we've been discussing and its importance for DRI, that is something that we are very interested in. So there has been a lot of capacity addition now in a production close to 50 million tons of DRI in India. Much of it is coal-based. Sir, I just wanted to understand from you that the current production process of DRI in India, as we know, is quite emissions intensive and so unsustainable going forward. What kind of changes are you perceiving in the sector for the sector to remain viable going forward? Because it is so important to the Indian steel sector. So that is why this question assumes a lot of importance. So what are your thoughts about the viability of the DRI sector going forward?
So in terms of sustainability, if you look at the total carbon footprint, including import of coal or gas, vis-a-vis using local coal in the coal-based DRI, and factoring in the surplus power that is generated by the DRI process, if you factor all of these factors, it is lesser efficient carbon footprint-wise than, say, the blast furnace route to some extent. But also, this becomes a big stepping stone for using scrap. So it's a good blend to use scrap and coal-based DRI, which is many of the induction furnaces in India are using. And overall, the package becomes as efficient, if not better, than the blast furnace route if you factor in scrap. Many of the big players are now going in for arc furnaces to exclusively use scrap, and this is only adding to that benefit. So it's not entirely, it's true that it is a very inefficient carbon footprint-wise process. You have to factor in the whole process from iron ore manufacturing, transport, DRI making, steel making, and the mix going into the steel making. All of that put together is not entirely true that it is inefficient. Number one. Number two is what you mentioned about going forward, the process has to add gas. In India, the last gas-based plant was, I think, put up around 15, 18 years back as a brownfield expansion in Hazira. Yeah, many companies who are internationally insisting on gas-based DRI or gas-based routes are expanding in the blast furnace route in India for a reason. Gas availability in India is very poor. So until that is picked up by the government, by the gas chain, it is going to be difficult to have gas input. Third, of course, is hydrogen, which is still in the nascent stage and a long way to go before it becomes commercially viable in India or abroad. So this is the three ways that step by step, ultimately steel will become more greener, but every step will take its own time and focus by the government, and a lot of energy has to be put in by the government to support this green structure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And of course, that one very interesting point on that scrap plus DRI. So the entire life cycle costs and maybe in comparison with the blast furnace, not so bad. If we just take the standalone DRI, maybe it's the coal-based DRI may be quite high, but the entire production, of course, we have to take into that into account as well. Coming to a different question now, actually about Maharashtra and the steel industry in Maharashtra. So what we're seeing is that Lloyds is coming up in a big way. We know that it is ramping up iron ore mining in a very big way, putting up DRI plants, pellet plants, steel plants in Chandrapur and beyond. So it is emerging as a kind of a steel hub that we have seen, say, in Mandi or in Chhattisgarh or in Odisha. So what I'm trying to understand, sir, is that the interest among investors to invest in Maharashtra, to invest in the state, to invest in the iron and steel sector in the state, in the entire value chain of the iron and steel industry in the state. What is the interest like, and what are the prospects for the state to emerge as a steel hub? What are your thoughts on that?
So I will ask Mr.
Yes.
Prabhakaran to talk about the iron ore possibilities here.
Gadchiroli, as such, is a new sunrise of a new supply which is starting. As we are speaking, another 6 blocks have been auctioned. Very big steel majors and also merchant miners have been allocated the block. And if you look at those areas, are been quite reasonably sizable quantity. So everyone's production is going to come out. So there will be new iron ore which will come out of this region. Saying that there are again few more blocks which is going to be in auction now. So as you said, like Barbil or any of the eastern side which is there, Gadchiroli will be an emerging market for the new iron ore which is coming up. And I believe that this iron ore, when it comes up, either through the state-owned companies or by the private sectors, there is going to be a lot of new supply which is coming in. When that comes, it definitely which will augment it, because Maharashtra itself is a very conducive way to establish industry. There has been huge support by the government, not only in the land acquisition, because land acquisition, which is the most toughest, here we have MIDC, which helps to acquire the land and give it to us. So basically, there has been full round support, electrical infrastructure, land procurement, and also the industrial policy, which I think everyone is aware of the industrial policy which is there, which is definitely will be a preferred place to have, having iron ore, having water, having land, having access to the market, and having a good grade of iron ore, and with a very affordable and a friendly policy by the state government. Definitely, as told by the Honorable Prime Minister and also by various state leaders, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, the Ministry of Surface Transport, everyone talks that there is going to be a new Jamshedpur. I seriously believe that this will be a new Jamshedpur. And as the iron ore comes up, I think it is just a matter of time. This is going to be a steel hub of this country, new steel hub of the country.
Yes, Mr. Gupta, would you like to add to that?
Just one add that, in fact, Gadchiroli was the first explored mine in the country in the 1880s. So it's just the world coming full circle round, and it would be very successful once all these mines are now coming up, as well as our mine, of course.
Yes. So of course, lot of points are converging to make it a sunrise sector and the next Jamshedpur of India. So that's on a very positive note, of course. Uh, Towards the we should come to, of course, we've been talking about Lloyds and expansion plans and so on. So let's just come to the sector, the national steel sector, and what is happening right now, because I know that many our audiences will be very interested to know what is happening to steel prices, what is happening to iron ore prices, what is happening to the market. Of course, after the general election, there hasn't been a kind of a pickup in the market as was expected. So, what kind of an outlook are we seeing in the second half of 2024? If you
So
could please.
steel is a cyclical industry. Last 2 years, the growth in steel in India has been 13% or something. This year it would be 7-8%. If I think 7-8% is a very big number by itself. It is probably the only country in the world where the growth is so much positive, of any large scale. And well, in the steel business, if you're not bullish, you should not be in the steel business. I'm always bullish about the steel business. So I don't see anything. I see only good going forward. It won't be 13% again. It happened 2 years, maybe as a J recovery of the COVID, but definitely I see 7-8% growing forward with the Prime Minister's movements with tomorrow's budget. The economy is going to grow fast, and steel as a multiplier of 1.1, 1.2 multiplied to the economy. I see 7-8% very easily being achieved again.
So that is growth in consumption, sir, you were saying?
Yeah, it is. It is there, of course.
Yeah. Yes. So I was just trying to, because of course everybody talks about prices. So I was just trying to understand from you the outlook for H2, because prices are particularly depressed
Prices
yes.
are not definable by me or by anybody else, at least not by me, and I wouldn't want to comment on pricing in the short term, medium term. The demand is something that is more predictable.
Sure. Mr. Prabhakaran, would you like to talk about a little bit more iron ore prices and where they are headed? If you could just give us some indication, because we know that global prices are under pressure. Indian domestic prices also are under pressure currently. So if you could just give some estimate on where we are headed in H2.
So basically, we will look at only the total cost, because the logistic cost plays a very vital input on the total cost. So definitely there will be a correction on the customer's basis based on the locations. So I think that's also in a larger growth what is happening, as I told, Kacharoli coming up. I think this part of the India should be able to take care part of the south and part of the western side of requirement. So I think as the new capacity coming up, I think the logistic cost put together, and next thing is the availability of rakes. Put together, I think it will be definitely, so if you look about the next quarter, basically we have monsoons coming in. Now with this monsoon, we have to see how the production happens pan-India basis. How does it come in? How does the coal output remains in the monsoon, because coal comes down, there is here large availability of rakes which happens. I think we need to wait and see how does it happen on the monsoon availability of rake, and also to the customers who are coming out and taking it from long distance will definitely come and take it at a short distance.
Thank you. Thank you so much for enlightening us about the expansion plans of Lloyds, one of the riding stars in the Indian steel firmament. Of course, it will be correct to say. And the expansion plans are really fantastic. They're breathtaking, and the industry is taking very keen interest in this company. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Your
Thank you.
thoughts on decarbonization of the Indian steel industry, of course, is something which is very vital at this juncture. And I really believe that our audience will be greatly profited by the insights shared both by Mr. Rajesh Gupta, Managing Director of Lloyds Metals and Energy, and Mr. B. Prabhakaran, sir, MD of the company. I once again thank you, both of you, for joining us in this interview session, and for enlightening us on the path ahead for Lloyds and the country and the domestic steel sector.